Onward to glory.
Through the white thunderstorms, we ride on the back of our truckers in a fearless stride. Sons of Thor, hearts made of fire, conquering lands, fueling our desire. Roaring engines and lightning in our eyes, united we stand. Strength won't compromise from the east to the west. We sail every road with our warriors. Never feel alone. Landscapes of freedom beneath open skies, a promised land where our spirits arise. We battle the storms and tides of the sea. Now we've arrived in the land we're meant to be.
Woo! That gets me going every time. Welcome to the Dragonship, guys. My name is Paul Bauer. I am your host today. Joining me on the panel, we have Wraith. What's going on, man? It's been a while. We've got AJ, we got Mike Steele, we got Nuclear Caudillo, we've got Viking Paradigm, and we've got the God amongst men, Thor. What's going on, fellas? Wraith, what have you been up to, man? Oh, you're on mute.
He's still muted.
Yeah, I'm good now. Not a lot. Just working at the other business and trying to get the side hustle going, that kind of stuff.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you. AJ, what have you been up to?
Firing up the 3D printers, studying for my promotion, and living the dream. Rode the bike this morning, had a massage, had some coffee, did some reading.
Did your massage have a happy ending?
I will not disclose that information.
Excellent answer.
Mike, what's up with you, brother?
Catching some rays and just enjoying Vegas and getting really loaded at work. And we got the band in the house.
Oh,
Not Jack Knapp.
not Jack Knapp.
Not Jack. Well,
It'll be
welcome to the show,
not Jack.
Not Jack. Good hosting today on Rule Zero.
Yes.
Well, thank you. I did my best with what I was given, and I hope it helps some guys out, just building up their treasure chest, their war chest, things like that. But we'll see.
Getting their ducats in a row.
Ah,
Jack,
like whammon, am I right?
Whammon.
Jack, what's up with the noodle situation? Why are you all so weak you can't eat spicy Korean noodles?
Oh, spicy food? I don't know, man. I just don't like spicy food. I don't get it. You've got all this tasty, flavory food, and then you mess it up by giving it spices that'll make you burn your mouth. Like, why would you want that?
Because
I've
it makes
noticed
you
that
feel
with
alive.
I've noticed that with a lot of Europeans. Like when I worked with the Spaniards for 3 years, they cannot take capsaicin to save their lives.
Really? I thought the Spanish kind of liked it.
Nah, the Spaniards don't. The Hispanics do.
Nuke, do you like spicy food?
Of course he does.
Yeah, well, there's different types of spice, right? There's different type of chilies, there's different type of spices. Like wasabi is a different spice than habanero. So it all
clears your head. I love it.
Yeah.
I love
So
action.
it all depends on where you're getting your spice from. I personally like chilies. My mom used to make passion fruit hot sauce when I was a kid. It was so good, but I don't like wasabi at all. I don't see the point of wasabi, so I don't know. I'd say yes.
I mean,
What's with the barrel? Nuke, you got a barrel. Is it full of crackers?
No,
Is that a cracker barrel? Yeah.
It's an old whiskey barrel that I've had it for a couple years and just put it there.
Nice.
He just emptied it. That's why now it's decoration. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It really adds a kind of a interesting look to the apartment when you get a barrel and put it in the corner. It's pretty cool.
All right.
He gets a girl over, and this is where I put the last girls.
Oh,
It's actually where I keep all my lube. It's all in there. So
Oh, wow.
That's a lot of fucking lube. Holy shit. Going for
Make
that
sure-
Nero massage.
Make sure you seal it tight, because if a girl opens it, she could fall inside and drown. So I have to seal it.
Tends to happen.
Tarl, what's up with you, man?
Oh man, I'm a little cooked, but I'm here on the Dragonship, You know, been burn the candle at both ends, getting to know people, networking and stuff like that across the internet. As we've been dubbed, this is now my fourth dimensional spaceship that I fly around the internet, changing people's lives.
I like it. I like it. Thor, how you been, man?
Hanging in there, learning how to swing my new hammer, gentlemen. It's a little bit of a reduced version, so I can actually handle it.
You know, it's not the size of the hammer.
Hey,
It's how you
it's
wield
the
it.
length of the shaft, right?
All right, guys. Today's topic is going to be loosely based on a Red Pill archive post I found titled "Avoid Arguments, Focus on Your Map." If any of you guys have read this book, The Married Man's Sex Life Primer, you know that the concept of your map, it comes from this book, right? Athol K. And it stands for Male Action Plan. So largely, it's designed for a guy who finds himself in a dead bedroom situation or otherwise in a situation where he is unhappy in his marriage or relationship, right? And the Cliff's Notes version is that he starts going to the gym, he starts working on his frame, starts being more attractive and less unattractive. And his wife either gets on board with the action plan or she doesn't, and he finds a better wife, right?
The
All right.
stay plan is the same as the go plan.
Exactly. So this post makes a lot of really good points, and I wanted to get everyone's input on some of these concepts. So I have them laid out here, and we can go around the horn on these. Cool?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And just so you guys know, be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications on whatever channel you're watching on. Do subscribe to everyone's channel here. We're all trying to grow each other's channels. And for the love of God, or the love of Odin, rather, please don't be stingy with those super chats. If you guys send a $20 super chat, I got something special for you. And if you guys have been watching my podcast for the last week or so, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. But you will be rewarded for a $20
there's kids here. Should I tell them that?
Don't spoil it, Paul. Don't spoil it.
I won't spoil it. Mike says
save it.
I can't just give this away for free. Okay, so $20 or better will get you a cool new little thing.
$20 is $20, like Cappy says.
Yeah, if you guys know what I mean. You guys know
Paul
what I
will
mean.
fly out and fellatio you personally.
Not quite. No, but it is well worth the $20 super chat. I'm just gonna put
Only
that
$20
out.
for that?
Shall we
Hey,
say
all
it's
of
at
a
least
sudden
a
got
pair of
interested.
tens, right?
What's that for?
It's at least a pair of tens.
Yeah, it's at least a pair of tens. All right, so the first concept here that I want to go through, and we'll just sort of go around the horn, is that when you're just starting out working on your action plan, you don't have the power to survive an argument. What do you think about that, Jack? What are your thoughts on that?
Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, when you're just starting out with your map, right?
Yeah.
The idea is that we want to avoid unnecessary arguments because you don't have the power to survive an argument at this point.
That's a good one because that's why they used to say "Stfu is a superpower." Shut the F up is a superpower. Because the problem is, and I'm quoting Wine More Please here, guys can't help but to open their whore mouth.
Yep.
Where they need to spew all their emotions out on the table to their already disinterested wife. The reason why they can't survive that argument is because their wife in general has already henpecked them so much into oblivion, into a lack of confidence that any argument with her, he will probably fold anyway. And the map, the male action plan, is meant for him to not only regain some self-esteem, but to build himself up into a man of value who doesn't want somebody to take him for granted. He needs to turn himself, first of all, into someone worth of value. And when he starts getting into arguments, before he has done that, there's no mental work involved. There's no physical work involved. Nothing. He is still that, well, to put it very bluntly, he's still kind of that loser who, well, the loser who searched for all this stuff. He hasn't put in the work yet. So he has no body to his work. That's why he should refrain from arguing and just STFU.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. Wraith, you work with a lot of men on their frame and this sort of thing. What are your thoughts on that? Oh, you're on mute again.
Yeah, I don't like sitting there and with a lot of sound. So, I guess from a standpoint, you got to look at what do you know about yourself first? All right, and way too many men go into trying to change and change their marriages and stuff without knowing themselves first. So you've got to know what you want in life. You got to get to know what you bring to the relationship, and you've got to have that self-confidence to start working on the process, whether it's through lifting weights or working on your frame or whatever. You've got to start developing those individual competencies. Once you know that, then you can basically, when you go into those arguments, you have a place to stand from. But way too many guys go in and with no place to stand.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. AJ.
I think Jack and Wraith hit it right off the bat. Like, I remember when I first got into this space, and remember clearly it was an episode of Rule Zero when Dr. Glover was actually on, and they're talking about power of no and start using the ability to start saying no. I tried it on my ex. Big fucking mistake, because I had no standing in the relationship. She had all the fucking power. I remember there's like several other times it's like we even got into an argument about my specialty with dealing with electronics and UPS systems and all this stuff. Like, she's like, no, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm like, I'm a system expert on this. So yeah, don't try fucking arguing with your girl, especially early on.
Yeah. Mike Steele.
I'm rereading that, and survive is a very strong word. Is it referring to the relationship surviving? Because
no, it basically means like you're not going to win the argument. You're just not going to win, right?
You're going to turn into a bloody puddle of weeping mess, referring to your wife again, is what they mean.
Yeah, you just walk away more defeated than you were before you entered the
okay.
Don't give me this, Mike. Don't give me this artistic interpretation of words where it's like, does he mean literally won't survive?
Like, is he going to actually die?
No.
Don't spurg out on us, Mike. Don't spurg. Don't spurg.
I'm not going to spurg out here. This is the best example I always remember of this is like Myron and Donovan give the best examples. Like Donovan, I think his was Gal saying, "You're not getting laid tonight." And he says, well, that's what you think, and leaves immediately. Myron, if he gets rejected, he will just call another woman right in front of her. And then the one I like personally is the whole, well, if she wants to start an argument, just grab your gym bag and head out the door and go hit some weights.
Stay plan is the same as the go plan.
Exactly. So I'm not sure if I have a whole lot to add to this because of maybe there's a knowledge gap here. So
is that really Donovan's comeback? Like, that's what you think, and he just walks out? That's a good one.
That's funny. Nuke, what do you think? You're a very learned man in the red pill ways.
Yeah. Paul, could you repeat the question? Because we kind of
oh wow.
expounded so much that I kind of
So when you're just starting out, you don't have the power to survive an argument.
Okay. When you say starting out, do you mean like
on your map?
Oh, okay.
In a long-term relationship.
Okay. Well, yeah. I think one part of the issue, because everyone else pretty much is correct, is that men grow up thinking that women are like them, and we can reason ourselves into sex and love and all that stuff, and that just women don't work that way, right? It's the drunk captain and the worried first mate. Where if the first mate sees that the captain is going to drive us into an iceberg because you're not decisive and you're not doing so well in life and, you're flabby, then, the first mate's going to be like, Captain, let's veer 15 degrees to the left. Captain, let's slow down. Captain, do this. You're going to, just because the first mate is scared that the ship's going to get it run aground or something. So think of it like that. It's not her fault. That's the number one thing you have to realize. It's not her fault. Women are the way they are. And they have to be that way. It's their biological reality. But also, once you do everything on your action plan, and if it still doesn't work, you got your answer. The answer is she never liked you in the first place, bro. So now you're free. She delivered a strong, healthy, physically fit, attractive man to the world, back into the world. And it's a win-win either way. It's going to be a little painful on the way, but it's a win-win either way. So yeah, that's all I got.
All right. Now, Tarl, I think, has probably got some good advice on this, because he often talks about do you want to win, or was it do you want to be right?
Do you want to be right or do you want to win? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm that dumbass. You know, I went full woke in my like 20s and stuff like that. I was a homeschool kid, right? But I learned all the bullshit once I got access to TV, and it all sounded good, right? Because my dad was an alcoholic, and that don't be like your dad. That all kind of makes sense. But what I didn't understand, as I said before, is the difference between masculine behavior and alcoholic behavior, right? And the red pill kind of gave me that distinction by explaining what true masculine behavior is, what frame is, and whatnot. But for 10 years, when I was with my girl, like I started out being that kind of Chad party guy and all that. And this girl wanted to lock me down, left her boyfriend for me and everything, right? She's in chat right now, Yaka, right? But the problem is that I thought that I could reason with her. I thought that we could negotiate and that what she would, follow what she said she agreed to and whatnot, right? And even though I had a good plan, she just didn't follow through with it. I didn't understand that the problem is that I was coming from a position where I didn't have anything to stand on. Right. I let myself, slow, I started out with good, frame, but I gave it up immediately. I surrendered it and started doing, let's do 50-50, baby. It's the right thing to do. Right. So then anytime there was a situation where she didn't do what she said she was going to do, didn't do what I wanted her to do, and vice versa, right, we just end up in an endless argument where it would end up being she'd more or less just give me that lip service of like, yeah, I'm going to do it, but then no action would follow. Right. Instead of me being willing to walk away, I'd be like, well, if you want me to leave, I'll leave. If you want to leave, you can leave. And she's just like, no, I want you to stay. Because really what she wanted was me to wake the fuck up and actually lead with action rather than words. And that's the biggest problem that a lot of guys have in these relationships, is when they realize they got more value than they thought they had, but they think they can start out with the words rather than the actions. You always have to lead with actions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a very good point. It's you gotta be about it. You can't talk about it with women. They sort of just want guys to get it.
Yeah, the words don't mean anything until you got the full Batcave utility belt and all the bells and whistles that you need to bust your ass for, because you ain't Bruce Wayne. You don't have $1 million, right? You got to build that shit from scratch.
You do realize Bruce Wayne was a billionaire, right? Not just 1 million. He had plenty of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's getting into the literalism of the analogy,
Jack,
though, right?
Now who's spurging out?
Yeah, stop spurging out. No, no spurt zone.
It's a reference because in the Batman lore, every time someone says you're a millionaire, Bruce, he's like billionaire, because he has to keep up the facade of like, yeah, it's a common thing in the Batman lore. So I think it was a reference.
The reason why I use that metaphor is because a lot of guys kind of view themselves as Batman in their own head, like, oh, I'm brooding in my Batcave, and I might be disadvantaged because my parents are gone. They have that kind of secret underdog, right? The secret king mentality. Yeah. And so, like, understanding
confirmed.
And we often talk about our Batman origin stories in this space because we are all nerds. Hey, speaking of nerds, from Tokyo, we've got Laurent joining us. Laurent, when you're just starting out with your map, you shouldn't have you don't have the power to survive an argument. What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely true. You can't survive an argument. I mean, women run circles around us, and as everybody else said, like, words are meaningless. You can't logically reason with a woman. They don't respond to that. You got to come with actions. They respond to that, and particularly they respond to you walking away. I mean, if they're very emotional creatures, so when we deprive them of our presence, of our attention, of everything, wait, it's like oxygen. So there's no oxygen in the relationship, and then they come back. But
if they deem you valuable, that's the big thing. It's not a guarantee, but that's the whole thing about walking away. You don't walk away for her; you walk away for yourself.
Absolutely. The thing that took me the longest time was to reach indifference. So being because. I mean, women can feel that, when we try to pander, or when we try to, to placate to them, when we truly are the point of origin, then then there's no room for an argument. The fogging, all the techniques, it's like it's like reasoning with a child. You practice amuse mastery, you practice fogging and all this stuff because you are the center of your own ship, and usually they respond well to that. But getting there was very, very, very difficult. Was very painful. Reaching indifference, outcome indifference, was very difficult.
Yeah, I think it's difficult for a lot of guys. Thor, we'll get your take on it, and then we'll move on to the next concept here.
Sure. I mean, a woman that's going to be picking arguments with you is really doing shit tests, or she's trying to line some sort of frame seizure with you. And if you're not really equipped to engage in this because it turns into something big, your best bet is to ignore or use the fogging technique to get out of there. You need an escape plan if these minor arguments come up until you have the skills to create the indifference that Laurent's talking about. He understands this very clearly. He had to go through it. And ultimately, when you understand how to pass these shit tests, fitness tests, compliant tests that they have, you'll stop having arguments with them and start having actual conversations. Then you're actually starting to make progress. But yeah, engaging in the it's going to be really hard for guys not to engage in these arguments. Number one, it's become a habit if you're in a long-term relationship. It's become a part of the relationship to have these naggy arguments back and forth, these quips. You guys have all heard it with couples. They quip at each other, and it becomes normal. And I believe that a lot of couples think that they're actually communicating and doing what they're supposed to do in a relationship. And that's, when I see it, I know that's not it. That's not the way to have a fulfilling relationship. It doesn't seem to go anywhere good. Hey, you've got a $20 super chat?
Yeah, we do. Let's get to these two super chats. So first we got Rusty Fuel with a $4.99 super chat. Mike, you want to read this one, and then we'll give it a actually, let me do this first. We'll do this one and then you can read it. Here we go.
Rusty Fuel with the $5 super chat. Thank you so much. As Morgan Freeman would say, don't date a female dog. That's a good way to skip arguments.
Take the dog pill, man.
All right. And then we have Forum with a $20 Canadian. We'll allow it. I'm going to have Mike read this first, and then we'll give him the reward for the $20 super chat.
I just want to let you know I'm not showering before I get my $20 worth, just 20. But I expect you to brush your teeth. You're nasty. Brush them 3 times a day. I don't care.
Hey, that's only $14.50 in real money. That's not worth the $20.
I don't know. It's worth it. We'll
Let's do it.
Guys, this is what you get for a $20 super chat.
Thank you for the super chats. We'll be bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Woo!
For the bobs and vagines.
I brought
right,
the shaft out. I mean the hammer for it.
The bouncing bobs. All right. So the next concept here is that this whole concept, right, of not arguing and shutting the heck up, it will impact everything in your relationship, right? Because she's less willing to listen or compromise. She's less appreciative, shorter fuse, higher standards, less interested in intimacy, all this kind of stuff, right? You have no power here. And we've talked a little bit about this, but let's see. AJ, what do you have anything to add to that concept? You've lost all frame and she has no fucking respect for you anymore.
Where a lot of guys will go wrong in this continuing on, like once they learn how to don't argue, is they'll still think about negotiating genuine desire. So again, back to the go plan is the stay plan, the same thing. It's just don't try to negotiate it. Don't try to do any of the chore play stuff, trying to fix the lost argument. Just focus on yourselves.
All right. Mike, do you have anything to add to this one?
This one I have gone through, and it sucks while you're doing it. But I think the military guys here, they know an expression called "embrace the suck." You can't, either way, you're going to come out the other side better, because either she's going to come around and get on your program, or she's going to remove herself from the situation, and you'll be a better man, and you'll either succeed within your own mental point of origin, or a better woman is going to come along. So I think this is actually the part that men need to survive. An argument is a passing thing. This right here, this can be ongoing for a very long time until the ship begins to right itself. And it either rights itself to where your current woman falls in line, or you just get a better one, or you just go off into the sunset by yourself for a while. So I think this is actually the part that a lot of men are going to struggle with if they've never done an MAP before.
All right. Wraith, anything you want to add to this? Oh, you're on mute again.
Yeah, I think way too many guys, I don't want to say overinvest, but they invest in an outcome, and it's an outcome that they want. It's not something that they can produce. What do I mean by that? Too many men are so invested in either the woman or in the idea that there's loss by losing an argument. That it causes an emotional schism for them. And what I tell a lot of guys right off the bat is, if you're in a marriage and you're going to try to reconstruct how you present the marriage and move your place, you have to accept that the inevitable may be you're not in that marriage anymore. And you have to be able to accept that, there's going to be loss. And way too many guys aren't willing to do that, because whether they're thinking of it for financial reasons or whatever, I kind of tell them, you're a man. You made all this money and stuff before you got married. You'll be able to rebuild your life after you get married. But it's that fear of loss and the investment that causes a lot of guys to capitulate and not want to change. And it's also, that same fear that keeps them in a relationship that they're not happy in, the woman's not happy in. And, that's just as damaging to kids as, you're leaving. Because now you're teaching them over the years how men perform in relationships. So that's kind of where you have to really start thinking about, as you change, how you're going to cope with what you're willing to lose. And, is that the value that you place with yourself?
All right. Let's go to Jack. Jack, do you have thoughts on this? Oh, you're on mute too.
There we go. No, not particularly. I agree with the rest on that one.
Okay. Easy answer. What about let's see, what about Laurent? Laurent, you want to add to this how this will impact it's impacting everything in your relationship at this moment. Basically, she has no respect for you right now. So and that's why you're in the position you're in. She has no respect for you. So arguing with her is not going to help, because if she doesn't respect you, she's not going to listen to you, right? You're on mute too, by the way.
Absolutely. I lived through that. You're arguing from a position of weakness. And the more you argue, the more she sees you as weak. The more you try to logically reason this. I've lived through that. And
oh, you went back on mute somehow.
Oops, sorry, it's 3 in the morning here. Sorry, my brain is not really working. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I lived through that. I went through that phase. So it doesn't work. And you have to raise your value. She has to perceive your value. And interestingly enough, it's not necessarily a function of money. So if you look at all 18 out of the 20 wealthiest men in on the planet, I've gone through a divorce, and you can tell the contempt. Like if you look at pictures of Bill Gates and his parasite, what's her name, Melinda. If you look at Jeff Bezos and his parasite, they have contempt. They like publicly express contempt for them.
Yep.
So, interestingly enough, not surprisingly enough, a lot of these very powerful men, when they have too many fights to fight, and when they come home, they don't realize that they have another fight to fight, and they just can't take it anymore. So, and it's not a measure of what you achieve in the world. For them, it's a measure of who you are in the relationship. So this is a trap that a lot of guys fall into. Does it make sense?
It does, but that's the whole thing. They still think their partner, their wife in this case, I will never use that word again, views them as equal, but she doesn't. She doesn't even view you at all. She already lost respect for you. She doesn't see you as valuable. So don't even try to convince her don't even try to convince her of your opinion, because she won't even consider it. You are nothing in her eyes right now, but a burden.
Even worse, you're an enemy, because contempt is worse than apathy, because you'd know it's over if she was apathetic. Now contempt, she wants to harm you, and to her own ends. So using contempt in an argument, you need to be able to recognize that and not engage. That's your best solution. You are on the last ditch effort when you've created a male action plan or an action plan to solve this. Now, you don't use the nuclear option, all due respect, Nuke. You don't use that right away. You give her a chance out of your own memory of, at one time you guys had something there. So you're going to give her an out. And the out is to come back into your frame and accept your leadership. There's a whole method behind that. But
So
not
Thor,
engage with that.
So Thor, on that, right? We're doing this ABC stuff, right? Where it's like, hey, A, do this, B. Let's talk about what that's gonna look like as a guy transforms from being the absolute beta dork that, you know, is getting steamrolled by his wife and life in general, you know, to the guy that's, you know, the Prince Charming. You're gonna face a lot of obstacles on the way, and this is where guys get tested, right? It's easy to be a player, you know, once you figure it out, kind of like the, you know, women in general in terms of the alpha side, right? That's easier. The whole balance between alpha fucks and beta bucks that you have to have as a man in order to keep a woman happy and in your frame, that's the difficult part. So as you're transitioning from being that from A to B, realize that there's going to be morality you're going to have to face. Like, am I really going to do this? Her family is going to want to know why you're changing. Who is this guy that's changing, that's trying to, why are you going to the gym so much? Are you cheating on me? Your job, you're probably going to start demanding more at your job, and your job may be like, why is he asking for a raise? You know, like, why is this guy that, you know, used to be such a plow horse all of a sudden want more from us? So it's a very painful road, right? And the reason it's painful is because you left everything for last minute in your life. You didn't build assertiveness when you had to, you know. You said, I got married. This is the finish line. I don't have to do anything anymore except work. But here's the thing: when you're transforming to the Prince Charming that she may have thought you were when you first got married or initiated a relationship, it's sucking is an understatement. It's gonna be one of the most difficult things, because you are literally trying to convince another human being who knows every single thing about you that you're not what you are.
Yep.
And that's difficult. That it is not as easy as it sounds. It is one of the most difficult things you will ever have to do. And a lot of times guys just say, no, it's not worth it. And I don't blame them, because you love your wife, you love your girlfriend, but trying to tell your girl who's biologically predisposed to figure you out and have pattern recognition of your little thoughts and patterns in daily life, to convince her that you're the man, even though you weren't, that's very difficult. So let's not make it trivial. For any guys that are going through this or have gone through this, it's almost hell, right? But the rewards are always worth it.
And the contempt thing's really, really bad. And if you're in that situation, I always use this as an example, Nuke. You're in the car, you're driving, and you're just having a good old time. And you mention to your gal, wow, look how blue the sky is. And she goes, it's not really blue. It's an offshoot of gray.
Yeah.
That argument's starting one to do something to change your frame. And it doesn't matter whether it's an offshoot of gray, blue or not. The contempt to start an argument like that is an indicator that she actively dislikes you and is going to put you in a bad position. Whether she realizes it or not, she is going after you to justify something. And that's a really tough place to be. People get habitized in this as their only excitement and dopamine rushes to get that indignation from arguing and escalation. There's also that element we didn't talk about. And shoot, I've run into folks that they live for that big fat fight. So the makeup is so much sweeter. It's just that's a different animal though, guys.
That's why a lot of guys want their girl to cheat when they're in this situation, because they want the out. They want the morality to be on their side, right? Because let's say they start improving, doing all these things, and maybe start flirting with the waitress or something a little bit when they go to Applebee's or whatever. That's a morality thing. A lot of guys, we underestimate how much morality comes into play when you're self.
That's so true.
Oh, let me add to that real quick. Like you mentioned, like flirt with the waitress. This is like a big mistake new guys make.
Yep.
Where in front of their wives, they start flirting with the waitress. It's like, that's the unattractive part.
Yeah,
the
they're using
waitress
active
flirting
dread.
with you, that's the attractive part.
Right.
That's where you want to get.
Yeah. I think a lot of guys confuse passive and active dread in the beginning, and they start like right there, Jack. They start flirting with the waitress instead of letting them flirt with them.
A lot of that kind of stuff too ends up being a covert contract. They're trying to do X in order to get their wife to do Y, and it's like that's not how any of this is supposed to work anyway. Let's get to the super chat, and then let's play Thor's. Let's play a commercial, a mid-roll commercial for Thor's book. And then we'll get to the next topic, which I think everyone's going to have a lot of insight in. So first, go ahead. It's a $20 super chat from Julian Reyes. So go ahead and read this, Mike, and then we'll give him the thing. He did the thing.
All right. Julian Reyes with the $20 super chat. For the cause, a good old US dollar for you, Paul. What's a big surprise? Rule 0, very informative, very valuable today. Thanks, fellas. Skull to all of you.
All right, this is what you get for a $20 super chat, guys.
Thank you for the super chats. Boobies bouncing, can't stop that. From the east to the west, viewers, you are the best. Keep those chats coming in, let's do it all again.
Woo! Those titties. All right, guys, get Thor's book. Will ya? Have you ever felt like you're fading into the background? Like the world doesn't want you to stand out, to be strong, to be masculine? You're not imagining it. For decades, society has been reshaping the role of men, leaving many feeling lost and disconnected. It's time to change the narrative. In A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor, discover the path to reclaim your strength, your confidence, and your identity as a man. This isn't about fitting into a stereotype. It's about embracing your natural traits and honing them into a powerful presence. Learn the 7 skills that every man needs to lead with authority, read body language, and control his emotions. R.P. Thor breaks it down with clear examples and practical advice to help you transform your life. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to lead with pride and courage. A Dominant Masculine Presence gives you the tools to do just that. Get A Dominant Masculine Presence by R.P. Thor on Amazon or listen on Audible. Don't let society dictate who you should be. Claim your strength and redefine your future. All right. Yes, definitely get that. Thor's book will help you with all the stuff we're talking about today. So the next concept here, guys, is the fact that you can't get into arguments and try to explain your position and try to be right, Tarl? Trying to be right all the time, it actually can fuel a lot of hurt and resentment on the man's end, which sort of leads to the red pill rage and a lot of reaction from emotion. So how do guys cope with that? What's a good way of coping with that? Nuke, you want to add something?
Coping with what specifically?
You're just being mad that you can't get into these arguments with your wife. Like, she's being a bitch and you can't just get into it with her because you realize, like, hey, I have no leg to stand on here. And so a lot of guys start, it's that by itself builds a lot of resentment. That's where guys start wanting their girl to cheat on them so they can just, dump things. The breaking up, the suicide by cop method of breaking up, they start acting so bad that their girl dumps them first or whatever, right? They don't even want to try working on themselves and becoming a stronger, more attractive guy in the first place. So they just get this resentment built up in them.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people, when they discover they can't control the universe, the shoulds, right? The shoulds of the world, the most dangerous word in the English vocabulary, claims a lot of lives, sadly, is should, right? Because, hey, I married her. She should listen to me,
Good.
Yeah, it's assuming the outcome.
Yeah, and you've gone into a relationship thinking that women are just like, it happens in many different kind of dimensions of a relationship, like giving stuff to women. They'll be like, I gave my wife a vacation. It's been a month. Why is she so bitchy? It's because women are not a bank where you could just they don't build interest because you give them things, right? It resets every week. Like, if you gave her a diamond ring, the next week she'll forget that you gave her a diamond ring.
Every day. I would say
every day. Yeah.
It's always in the moment.
Yeah, it's like rebooting a computer every night. She goes to sleep and her RAM gets wiped.
I think my ex said it the best. I can't buy her love.
Right. You cannot buy
Eddie Murphy said it best in his Raw special. What have you done for me lately, Eddie? What have you done for me lately?
Comedians knew. Yeah, everyone knew before. It's just you're facing reality. This is life. You're facing reality. You're facing that you cannot control another human being. None. Zero. You cannot control her. You can incentivize. You can maybe, and you can give her ultimatums, but ultimatum is just an admission of helplessness or powerlessness. So that's not going to do anything. But you guys have to realize that you can't just man alpha your way through life. You're going to have to use tact. You're going to have to use charm. You're going to have to use immoral things that society deems immoral, like dread or something like that. Because at the end of the day, like the common theme of today is like, do you want to win or do you want to be right? Sometimes being right is losing, and I'd rather win. Right? If the moon is made out of cheese, even though everyone disagrees with me, but me believing it's made out of cheese gets me where I want in life, then the damn moon is made out of cheese. That's it. There's no arguing that. I don't care.
Yeah. Charles, let's get your take on this, right? The red pill rage thing, right? Like, guys want to be right all the time.
Well, it comes back down to they're basically doubling down on a female mindset, right? Because that's what women do. They think they talk their way and bullshit their way out of any situation, can negotiate for it. And a lot of times, because women that's one of the things they excel at is communication and manipulating the communication. Yeah, they're very good at it. But guys that get mad because they don't have the actual standing to make a good argument, it comes back down to a couple things that Rollo says, right? Demonstrate, do not explicate. Women make rules for betas and break them for alphas. So if she views you as remember, a beta is just follower, right? An alpha is just leader. If you're not leading yourself, you're following her, following society, following what you say, rather than actually demonstrating, you're just explicating. And women understand the difference between female mindset and male mindset. A male mindset's actually going to be about like, okay, so this is what I'm going to do, and then they're going to fucking do it. And that's all there is to it, right? Whereas, the feminized male is going to try to negotiate it, try to talk about it, and then maybe do it if it works out. Right? It's pussyfooting around. It's you not being a decisive leader. And so if you're sitting there trying to negotiate that genuine burning desire and negotiate the standards of the relationship and being mad that you can't tell her these things, that's because you're bitch made. You're a follower, and you're just doubling down on more of that negative female mindset that puts you in that hole in the first place. You're just digging deeper. That's all.
You know, there's something I want to add to this. I just thought of it while you were talking. If you guys ever read No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover, you know, a lot of that's getting out of the nice guy syndrome. And one of the things that he recommends in his book, and I strongly disagree with, is he says when you're going through this process of getting out of the nice guy syndrome, he's like, talk to your girl, you know, let her know what you're doing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, that's the fucking wrong thing to do, because you'll find that she will try to shit on you and shit test you like at every chance she can get, because she doesn't believe that's who you are.
You're divorced in your mind already. You're already divorced. Like that's step one. Divorce your wife or dump your girlfriend in your mind.
Well, that's just another variation of explicating, right? By showing her this stuff, once again, you're not leading, you're following. The way, like my girl, she's in chat. She knows about all this stuff. Like the first couple times she watched Donovan Sharp's content, she cried, right? But the thing is that she wasn't interested in those things until I was just interested, and she saw the changes that I was manifesting. I got the dumbbells. I started working out. I changed our whole diet. And stuck to it, and made a whole family, our whole household stick with it. I'm just like, no, we're going to do this my way or the highway. Your choice, right? So she still had the choice, but she's just like, okay, so I think he woke up. And so I didn't try to lead her to the red pill content. I didn't try to show it to her. She started asking questions, and I was dismissive. I'm just like, well, just tune into Donovan Sharp one of these times and watch it with me.
I wouldn't have even
if you're
done
really
that.
curious.
I wouldn't have even done that. It's like, you know, it's just a thing. I felt like it.
That's how I was responding at first. I'm just like, well, these are guys that are talking about stuff, and you know, it's helping me, right? That's about the most I said, and she was like, but I'm interested, and I'm just like, okay, well, tune in and see. You know, you're probably gonna cry, but you know, it is what it is.
Never give your chick red pill content.
The average guy out there doesn't have a podcast. He's not writing books. This isn't like his, you know, part of his job. Like we're all, a lot of us out here, we're doing this, you know, we're coaching men, you know, we're running men's groups and stuff like that. This is what we do, right? You can't, if this is what you do for a living, you can't hide that kind of shit from your girl. Like Nurse Chick, she found my stuff. She's probably listening right now. But the average guy doesn't have to do this. It doesn't have to be your personality. You can do this and not tell your girl about it. And that's actually the recommended way.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's why I was given the context. It wasn't a thing that I led with. It was a thing that happened after I was demonstrating real, demonstrable change. Then she's going like, curiosity, like, why is he leveling up all of a sudden? And she gets curious, and then what do? I just drop breadcrumbs for and see if she's actually interested. And this, mind you, this is back 2020. I wasn't a content creator or anything like that. I'm just a dude living in the Midwest, and realized that I was supposed to be the leader, and I was a good leader, but I was literally throwing down the mantle and saying, fuck this, I want you to put the mantle on. And she's like, no, that's your mantle, not mine. And I just had to lead her to those truths. But once again, it was only due to her genuine desire and curiosity for me.
Yeah.
Well, since we're talking about Glover, look.
Yeah.
Way too many guys, way too many men, all right? They go into look, and they don't even do it with just the women they're involved with. They live by those covert contracts with everyone. Okay? And when you live by covert contracts, you have unrealistic expectations about what the results are going to be from the contract. So when you get into a relationship, you've already predetermined how the relationship's going to go. All right? And you've already, either by example, your parents' relationship, your friends' relationships, you've already come up with, hey, every relationship has to be transactional. And in order for it to be transactional, there has to be these unwritten things that we do in order to get that result. That's the wrong way to live your life, guys. And when you're sitting there looking at your plan, the first thing you have to do is look and say, I'm going to do away with all these covert contracts. And that's the hard part that Nuke was talking about. Because when you get rid of those covert contracts, you're now responsible for your behavior. You're now responsible for how people perceive your behavior.
Yes. Because when you use a covert contract, you can blame other people for not behaving properly.
When I get into a relationship, in my current marriage now, I was up front. This is what my expectations are going to be. And if you can't live with that, we probably shouldn't be together.
Yeah. I think another thing you have to do is divorce your wife or girlfriend in your mind. Like
Right.
just assume you're divorced. Like
Yep.
you're living with somebody that is divorcing you or has divorced you, and it kind of changes your mindset a little bit and how you deal with this person, right?
Yep. You have to believe that fully and dive in. And you have to realize this process, when you got the contemptuous arguments going on and it's back and forth, a part of that is you're habitized into it too, and you're getting something out of it. The attention. Believe it or not, as a guy, you want some attention from her. So when you're married, you'll take that too.
And you're
You
feeding
take
that beast.
whatever it is, and you have to divorce yourself from that concept, and you have to set yourself in for the long haul. Laurent, you understand this. We're talking a 6-month to 18-month process to give her the opportunity to see you as the ultimate dominant masculine presence in her life. She may not go there, but you're going to give her that opportunity without her knowledge. It is not something you're going to confront her with the ultimatum unless you're already going to walk out.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was talking about in the last segment, which I probably wasn't lucid about it, but it's having that detachment. You have to develop that detachment, and you have to be willing to lose in order to win.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of respect.
But that's the whole point. Where, oh, sorry. Cool.
Well, and the other part is the difference. You have to be able to develop indifference, not pathological indifference, but indifference to whatever the situation is, so that you can step outside the situation and look in and observe it and say, okay, this is how it should be. And way too many guys they're so wrapped up into what they want and not knowing how to get there, and then sitting there saying, I feel like I'm a loser. And if she thinks you're a loser, it's because you've been thinking you're a loser already. You're projecting that.
Yeah, and you're right about that letting go part, because I tell people, as uncomfortable as this is to admit for a lot of people, like for me, it wasn't until I reached that breaking point in my relationship where I realized I was not going to get the outcome I wanted, that I was focusing too much on trying to help her, and I wasn't helping myself, and it was only making her dislike me more. Right. So I had to get to the point where I was willing to go full scorched earth. I was willing to lose my car, my house, my wife, my kid, my life, everything, and just start over. It wasn't until I reached that breaking point where I just decided it didn't matter how bad things got. I was miserable already. And I'm just like, so I need either a clean start or we need to do things my way to get this ship right. And I just gave her the choice. Like, I basically fell out of love with her. And that's what allowed me to get her to fall back in love with me and be in love with her again, right? Because now we're doing things the way that they need to be done rather than some should, would, could delusional fantasy. Now I'm filling my role, and now she wants her role because I'm fulfilling mine, right? That's me leading myself first. That's the biggest problem most men have, is they want to lead society. They want to lead their woman. They want to lead other people, but they can't even lead themselves. So nobody respects them. And they don't understand that's why nobody respects them, because they can't even lead their own fucking life.
And it's the same thing about caring. You can't care about someone else if you don't care about yourself.
Exactly.
If you're allowing yourself to live in pain, you don't really love that person. You really don't.
Now, Nuke, you brought up something that I've never heard before, and I thank you for doing it. Is that treating the other person like you're divorced already, and that goes to frame, correct? Mental point of origin.
Well, it puts you in the mindset of more outcome independence, like it's already over and you're on your own.
Because what that did was it reminded me of the thing that Paul and I have talked about for young men: living your life as if your parents are dead.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
It's pretty dark. But that's because that comes from the episode that Mike and I did. We even did a Dragonship on it too, on moving the fuck out of your house, right? Like,
it's the same. I understand now. Yeah,
still living with mom and dad. There's you're not really living your own life. You're not being your own man. And
well. It's something I say too, is just like, I know that there is a male loneliness epidemic, right? But you're on your own, right? There's no one that can help you with this stuff, right? We can only give you the right information. We can't force anyone to do anything. We can't go to your house and sit down with your wife and convince her with our logic that she should give you a blowjob, right? Like, that's not how any of this works. You have to do it yourself. And a lot of guys are terrified, right? Because all throughout their life, they've always gone into things that are bigger than themselves, and they've worked for other people and placated their mom, their dad, their employer, everyone but themselves. They're the last on the list, right? Especially if you're in the military, because you're taught that explicitly, right? Everything is before you, right? And then you get into this relationship, and you're still last on the list, and now you're stuck. Like, how do I make this person happy? But I want to be happy too. And it's just like, that's not how it works. You have to, your happiness is first. So if you divorce your wife, it kind of, you're off the hook, right? In your mind, in your mind, not in real life. And you're just saying, okay, I'm divorced. What would I do if I was divorced? It kind of puts you in that mindset.
Yes.
Of what would I do if this girl was breaking up with me and she's just here because of, the lease isn't up, or she's just a roommate, right? That maybe once in a while she gets drunk and gives me a blowjob by accident or something. You know what I'm saying? Just, it changes your approach to a situation, because at the end of the day, it's a tool. Just like the red pill is just a box of tools, and that tool is helpful in the moment of realizing, hey, my wife doesn't like me that much. And here's a big thing about when you do all this, like at some point you may realize, I don't like this person. I never did, right?
Yep.
I never liked her. And then you could finally do her the favor, which is the nicest thing you can do for a woman, right? Is leave her when she's not attracted to you.
Yes.
Right.
Bingo.
Yeah, because you're wasting her time too, right? She could find a better guy or make another guy miserable.
Indeed.
Humor aside, right?
Paul, you were talking about the resentment guys build up when they have this argument situation and they can't respond back.
Mm-hmm.
What we just talked about in this whole segment was really useful tools and how to start to separate from that, but it's slightly incomplete. You got to recognize us guys hold an extreme amount of importance to moral value when it comes to this divorce thing. And the guys talked about we just waiting for her to cheat, so we have that moral flag to hoist high and a virtue that we can carry for ourselves. We didn't cheat, she did it first. And that's one of the big reasons I personally think, in my opinion, that women conceal their monkey branching so well, is they don't want to give you that moral judgment. And you need to get those moral judgments out of your head to get through this process. You really need to detach. And it's weird. Guys really get funny about the moral thing, and you can see it all over the place. I mean, the greatest of men hold themselves accountable in silence on this morality issue. Mm-hmm. And the vast majority of wannabes, creeps, weirdos, and grifters, no, they want to scream how moral they are, and yet tell everybody else they have to hold themselves. They must hold others accountable. But the great ones, they just hold themselves accountable in silence and don't throw those moral excuses out there.
It comes back to the bad mental models real quick, is that, Ryan Stone has talked a lot about this, but a lot of guys like that come to the red pill, they think that red pill is the solution, when red pill is just the response that's effective, right? It has nothing. It always comes down to, we can't help those who do not want to help themselves. They can take in all the red pill knowledge, but if they don't take the action, they won't get the results. And then what are they going to do? Oh, he told me to do it. He gave me bad advice, right? And they'll start pointing the finger, once again, not taking accountability for their own lack of action.
I want to add one thing to this, and then we'll get to you, Laurent. I see you raising your hand down there. One thing that I learned from another thing I learned from Dr. Robert Glover in his second book, Dating Essentials for Men, is that it's good for men to learn how to be good enders of relationships. And that by itself is a way of setting the tone and leading in all areas of your life. And a lot of guys want their girl to do something bad so that they have a reason to break up with her, or they want to do something bad themselves so that she breaks up with them, because that's a passive way of ending things that they can't take accountability for. But that's not taking leadership, which is why you are in the position you're in the fucking first place, because you're not being a leader. And if you can even lead at the ending of a relationship, that is really a place that you need to get to on your journey, is to be able to be that guy that's decisive and goes, you know what? This isn't working out. I'm ending things. And you don't give them that it's not you, it's me bullshit.
No, it is you.
Everyone knows it's a fucking lie. And so you just don't say that shit, right? You put it into one sentence. This isn't working out. I'm ending things. She's going to get mad. You have to let her get mad.
Or cry.
But you got to stand your ground on it and be like, okay, well, I hear where you're coming from.
Or novella's worth of text.
But it's something. Let me ask you this, Paul.
Well, hold on. We got to get to Laurent. He's been dying.
Yeah.
Laurent, what did you want to say, brother?
Oh, about the resentment, there's a fantastic technique that works too. Resentment is like trapped anger. So there's a fantastic technique that works. It's called Gestalt. So it's something that you can do under hypnosis to free up this anger, because at one point, like I had seething resentment, and it blocked me through my life. I couldn't do anything. I was procrastinating. I was miserable in every department, and then I started to do Gestalt, and then I was free. So the other person could say whatever they want, like, yeah, sure, stupid asshole. Yeah.
Gestalt,
stupid
you mean
asshole.
being in the moment, mindfulness?
Gestalt, as in, you go into a form of hypnosis, and for instance, you voice out all the resentment that you have, and then you swap roles, and you swap roles with the other person. So you can do Gestalt, for instance, with your mother, with your father, with God, with anybody. You alternate role. Like, for instance, let's say I do a Gestalt versus my mother. Oh, you did this, that, and the other. And then I take the role of my mother, and then I reply, and then back and forth. Is just seeing the world from the other person's perspective. From your perspective, the other person replying, then you replying back and forth a few times. So all it
So it's
does
a
is
mental model to see things from another's perspective.
exactly, and then
Yes,
it
that's very
frees up.
important.
It frees up the trapped anger, because you voice out all your anger, and then you take the role of the other person for whom you have anger, and this person replies, and it's very brutal. But at the same time, you do it two or three times, and you'll see that all this resentment, all this trapped anger is gone, and none of the triggers that the other person does is like, okay, doesn't affect you anymore.
I
Because
tweeted about that the other day, Laurent, where I put people in the perspective of your wife or something, because she has two choices, right? When she's in the situation. So what is it called when a woman has sex with someone she doesn't like?
Grape.
Exactly. So she doesn't like you anymore. She may love you, but she doesn't find you attractive. Like she wouldn't see you at a bar and be like, "Oh, this guy's hot." She lost attraction. So what's the other choice she has? Leave you and turn her life upside down. A lot of guys get into the whole, "Oh, but women want to divorce you. Women are happy to divorce you." No woman gets into a relationship expecting a divorce. That's not how a woman's mind works. They are in love. They want to marry you. They may have misjudged you on your character or something, but deep down they want the relationship to work. Every date a girl goes on, she wants it to be her last date, So when it comes down to this, you need to look at the woman's perspective and what she's up against. And then now it becomes your mission to go from point A to point B becomes more righteous, because you are not forcing her to have sex with a loser. And that's the worst thing you can do for a woman. Women write law. There's laws that put men in jail indefinitely for this, and you're making her do that. And I know it's not fair for you either, but think about how she feels in this situation, what her options are. You have taken away her options. Her options were, I get to have sex with this hot guy that I love, or I can leave him and be poor, broken, destitute for a while. Or, which would you prefer? I would rather give the love of my life, the woman I decide to marry, the option of having sex with a hot guy and being with a hot guy, because that's you want to give her that choice, right? Why not? You love her, right? So why not do that? So just putting in that perspective too, Laurent, it'll help you with resentment and understanding. She is a person. She is not out to get you. She's just stuck in a situation where, shit, I don't like this guy, but I have to have sex with him. What do I do? And she's gonna that makes her miserable. And Paul, when you were saying before about like that situation where you're about to leave your girl, there's something that happens a lot that gets guys right back to square one. What is that?
Pregnancy.
Okay, before pregnancy.
I love you.
I don't know. Where are you going with this?
Sex, right? So there's a sexless marriage, and finally you start. She gets the feeling, oh, he's gonna leave me. You get the blowjob, and you're just like, all right, everything's fixed. I'm back to square one. I'm like, no.
I'm the man.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got this.
That is her ultimatum. She's like, oh, you're gonna leave me on your terms and not
pussy.
I want to leave. I want to leave on my terms, not your terms. So she'll do that to gain power.
That reminds me.
Yes, it's called hysterical bonding. Hysterical
Yes,
bonding is called.
That's what that reminds me too. Because Ryan talks about this in his books, but he says a lot of times when guys are at this position and they're resentful and they're mad, and their wife says, "All right, let's have sex," they're like, "No, you've been telling me you've had a headache this whole time. Well, I'm not going to have sex with you," as if it's a punishment for her, and that's just the wrong way of doing it. Because
Hate man, that bullshit, man. Ever heard of a hate fuck?
They're hot. It's super. It's the best. Look at Thor. He's smiling.
Oh, savage man.
It can be good too, but once again, it comes down to the principle of like I think it was Nuke mentioned this before. Like the guys don't understand, like when you're giving her a trip and stuff like that, why this doesn't fix her. It's because people don't understand, especially men nowadays, don't understand the difference between punishment and reward. Both positive and negative reinforcement do work. They just have to be used correctly in the correct context. You can reward a girl with a trip and it's not simping if she did the things in the relationship consistently to earn it. And that's the clear nuance. The same thing with sex. If the girl is giving you sex to get you out your frame, then you would want to say no and have some dick discipline. But if she's doing it because she's actually been acting right, you've been doing things that she wants to reward you with sex because you're like, oh my God, that's a leader that got me wet, then it's going to make more sense. But that comes down to the context and nuance.
Well, the thing is,
I was that idiot that bought her a trip to Europe.
The thing about declining her offer for sex, though, does come to operant conditioning and rewarding good behavior and punishing bad behavior. Her giving you sex is a good behavior, and you want to reward that by fucking the shit out of her. you know,
as long as it's not one of those other extremes where she's like, well, oh, he's going to do something I don't want. Let me see if I can, give him the box to bribe him. Girls do that. They will use sex. Same thing with they hold sex for compliance.
Yeah,
right?
but as long as you're giving her sex and then not doing what she wants to do, then that's fine. But still, for women, it's not punishment for them to decline their sex offer because they can just go get it from the neighbor, So they're like, "Oh, you don't want my sex now? All right, fine. I'm just gonna go fuck the neighbor."
It means nothing to women. Right?
Yeah, and two things. One, let's not forget what simp actually stands for: sucker, idolizing, keyword, mediocre, peace sleeve. Yep. That's what it actually means for.
Is that what it stands for?
That's what it stands for.
The original acronym.
Even the peace sleeve part.
Yeah. Well, no, he's using a different word to describe a woman's
kitty cat
reproductive.
Yeah, no, oh, so that was the original one. Oh yeah,
there's actually two of them. The other one is SIMP, is basically a short for sympathizing with a woman's problems and expecting to get boxed. So there's two variations of it, but they kind of go hand in hand.
I prefer the first one because, again, it's idolizing.
Back in the 80s, you can look at the Iceberg Slim and all that. And then, yes, the other one's actually a good fit, too, for modern times.
Yes, because the two key words there are the idolizing and the mediocre. Yep. Mediocre doesn't mean the quality of the peace sleeve. Mediocre is referring to the whole woman. Right. And the way she acts and the way she treats you and what she brings to the relationship, things like that. So if your woman is doing everything you want and need her to do in the relationship and you reward her with a new handbag or a trip, then it's not simping because you're not idolizing mediocrity at that point. Number two, Jack, did you change your avatar to a bear so women would pick you?
I don't. Yeah, really got me.
Strategy.
That is a sloth bear, and apparently one of the most vicious ones, next to the brown grizzly.
And think now that you're no longer the drunk captain, and you walk in one day with your uniform in order, and you're not drunk, and you're more decisive, right? What's your first mate girl gonna think? Wow, he's really drunk now, right? Because I haven't seen the side of him. There's no way he's sober and better. He must be so drunk that he thinks he could fool me into being the not sober. So it's a very scary part for a woman's life to realize that the man she's with isn't who she thought, right? Women pride themselves on being able to figure out men early, and they fail a lot. Hypergamy is very shoddy, these days. Women will go for broke influencers and then realize, oh, he had no money, he just rented a Lambo or something like that. It happens. Yeah. But congruency is a big deal here, right? She is trying to pull you in to her I wouldn't say frame, but into a definition of what her definition of you. And she's trying to see, is this guy really congruent? Is he really going to the gym? Is he really going to get big? Hey, baby, here's a pie. No, I can't. I'm
extra mashed potatoes.
Yeah, and these are the little things that women do to try to test your congruency of what your new action plan is. They want to see if you're about that life. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
I used to have a girlfriend who did that all the time. Like I only once I dropped that I like chocolate.
Yeah.
Next time she comes over, full 500-gram chocolate.
They can't help it. Yeah, they can't help it.
You like chocolate, right? I bought the chocolate for you. I'm like, babe, you do realize, like, back then I still did the powerlifting. Like, I've got the powerlifting coming up. She's like, oh, well, never mind then.
Hey, it could be like Mike in that game chair.
Yes, I thought you'd like it. It's like, oh,
And
and then you feel guilty. It's like, ah.
And there's always things you can do. Like from the book, when I say no, I feel guilty. You can do fogging, negative inquiry, personal disclosure, negative assertion. For example, if she says, "Hey, we're going to my mom's this weekend, remember?" and you're just like, "Oh, I forgot." What do you mean you forgot? You always forget. And you're just like, yeah, it's interesting how I always forget, right? That's fogging. You're not giving her ammo to get mad. And you do this over time. And then you have negative assertion or personal disclosure where you're saying, I don't want to go to your mother's house this weekend. You're telling her what you want, right? And it's not easy for people that you're always used to telling what they want instead of what you want. And over time, once you use these tools, it's not more for them, it's more for yourself. So you can feel how it feels like to be assertive, but not in a dick way, not in a secret king kind of, this bitch is going to listen to me or else. In a, hey, I don't want to go to your mother's house this weekend. I want to do this. And that's it. It's piece by piece. You're not, day one, you're not going to walk in through the door and be like, all right, here's how this relationship's going to change. Day one is, I'm going to the gym on Tuesday. Well, you always go to the gym. Like, yeah, I need an extra day. But, and then you just keep fogging, negative assertion, and then eventually you won a small battle, right? And the battle was that you wanted to go to the gym. And that's step one. You're not going to get this whole thing back.
Yeah.
In one day.
And I think that really, and we could just sort of, wrap things up here with that concept, because I do have it here in my notes. When in the beginning, you want to avoid these dumbass arguments and shut the fuck up and lift, right? And that's because you don't have these tools yet. You're just starting out. And so you have to get to a point where you've read the books, you've read the sidebar stuff, right? The when I say no, I feel guilty, the no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Married man sex life.
Yeah, all the stuff, all the things, right? Thor's
You're
book.
a nerd now.
Right. You've got to be a nerd, but you've got to have the tools to respond effectively to the situation. Right now, you don't have the tools yet. So it's better to shut the fuck up.
You know what the best thing about all of this is?
That's
when
correct.
you really internalize it, you get that no response is the best response. And you kind of have to get it, what I'm saying here, because you're not mute, but like it's with fogging. I get why you say that. I can see why you say that.
Or interesting.
Interesting. Well, makes sense. You're acknowledging, but you're not agreeing. And that in and of itself, when you really get that, is so freeing.
Broken record.
The only problem is, and I still run into this every now and then, especially with coworkers, because all of this is applicable to outside of your relationship as well. Every now and then, some coworker brings something stupid up, and I still get the urge to be like, huh? And then it's like, no. It's like, I can see why you say that.
Yeah, it gives you the ability to take a step back and not react from emotion, which is what women do. But we're all conditioned to be defective women these days.
I'd be a very
you've got
pretty
to
woman,
unlearn that and learn how to be more of an effective communicator. So that's really what it comes down to. You have to learn how to be an effective communicator, and that's where, being more of assertive, being more direct, being more decisive, all that kind of stuff is something that you have to reprogram yourself with, because you don't have that to begin with, which is why you're in the position you're in.
Yeah, and Paul, when a guy comes to this and he's at the end of his rope, like you say, and he hasn't acquired these tools, because fogging, all of them, the NIGs, all of those are super useful at engagement. But you don't even have the power to engage, and that's what you're talking about here, but you got to start somewhere. And, I would suggest the following too, which is in a different lecture than I do, is take away time with her. Try to minimize time where you know that those arguments are going to occur. You know, you've been there for months. You've got these habits. And the reason I say take that time away, because once you engage with them, even if you attempt to do fogging, women are very good at knowing exactly where your emotional buttons are. So she will completely redirect and hit that button on the back of your neck that talks about that time back in the ancient past when you did this to her mother and it pissed you off so bad, and she'll get that spike. So you want to minimize the time and exposure to that. And then you want to use the only other tool I start guys out with is ignore. If you've been engaging in this, you have not been ignoring, and that will be a massive shock to her.
Broken record is a good one as well.
Oh, broken record is the foundation of
Mhm.
Boundary enforcement right
Yeah.
there.
Speaking of broken
going to my
record,
mother's- we're not going to my mother's house. Blah 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 blah.
We're not going to your mother's house.
Blah, blah,
speaking
blah,
of broken
blah.
record,
We're not going to your mother's house.
We're not
I
going to
used
your
it-
mother's house, AJ. We're not.
I used it on a
Oh,
scam
okay.
caller the other day, and it was fucking hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
They kept on like, sir. I'm like, remove me from your call list. Sir, remove me from your call list. Sir, remove me from the call list.
I just hang up on those
20
fuckers
minutes.
and
I was
then
just
block
fucking with them, waste his
numbers
time.
way easier.
I want my meat.
All right,
I want my
guys. I think we've hit this topic pretty hard today. I think people get the gist.
Like your mom.
Again, guys.
Hey.
This discussion came about based on this article. I'll drop it in the chat again. So if you guys want to read the article, the guy makes a lot of points, just like we did today. Let's go around the horn, get some final thoughts and what people are working on. We'll start with my man, Laurent. What's going on, Laurent? What are you working on these days?
What I'm working on, so I'm working on the second edition of my book, and also I'm working on a product with Ryan Fowler, hypnotherapist. We're working on a product about men's anxieties. So this is something that everybody can relate to, and it comes in three parts. Approach anxieties. So it's interesting. Like everybody, I mean, you can throw all the game you want, but if you see this is where the 3 seconds rule exist. Like we freeze, we fumble. You can have all the theoretical game you want, but if you can't approach a woman, that's it. It's game over. Part 2 is escape the friend zone. So, and this is really where women are really good at sensing. Like, you can have all the other game you want, but if deep inside you think, I'm not worthy of this woman, this and the identity problem. And the third part of it is performance. Am I really good enough? Am I really big enough? Am I going to satisfy her? So we're working on this product, and this is something that actually comes is very complementary to every to gain for with whatever approach you're having, because deep down it deals with toxic shame and all the men's anxieties. So we're very excited about this product, and hopefully we will be releasing it this summer, because this is really a summer product. You want to approach in summer. So that's what we're working on.
All right, sounds good. Let's go with you, Jack. Jack Napier, you're up. You're up, bro.
Oh, hello. Hello. In all honesty, just follow me on Twitter. That's my jam right now. Elon took my previous account, or somebody who worked there.
That was me. I told him to do that.
Oh, Nuke, why would you do that?
We're going to give it back to you and then take it away again.
Especially the ladies need to follow Jack because he's a bear.
Yes, I am. For the men, I am not. Just saying. And also, please follow me on Substack. I would really appreciate that as well. I just wrote a new post about the red pill not being for everybody. You might find that interesting. It is in the chat right now. But let's flip the big middle finger to Nuke and follow me on Twitter.
All right, sounds good. Speaking of flipping off Nuke, what's new with
There he is. That beautiful smug look.
So, guys, go ahead and unfollow Jack and follow We are currently working on getting him his account back, raise his hopes, and then taking it away again to further crush his dreams.
Like a war prisoner.
Nuke is playing push and pull with me in front of my eyes.
Final thoughts. Keep these tools handy. Women are women. Shows on Sunday, 9 p.m. On Central on Sunday. And Rule 0 in this show. And I'll be doing reactions throughout the week. Thanks, guys.
Cool. Wraith.
Let's see. First off, I do agree with Paul on one thing. You're not obligated to tell anybody what journey you're on. And if you're in a relationship and you want to see make change, start making that change. You don't have to sit your girlfriend or wife down and say, hey, this is what I'm doing with my life. Your business. And start living for yourself. And when you can start living for yourself, you can actually bring other people in and make them happy in your life, as well as make you happy. You can find me at Wraith_Dean Tour on Facebook, Twitter, Telegram, Instagram. And if you want to book time with me, just hit me up on any one of those. And that's about it.
All right. I'm glad you agree with me on something, Wraith. All right, Tarl, what's up with you, man?
I'm just working on growing the YouTube channel. I've been going out in the YouTube streets and kind of looking around, trying to avoid the street fights, but been meeting new people, shaking hands and all that good stuff, meeting new people. So if you haven't followed me already on YouTube, please hit that link and give me a subscribe. I'd appreciate that. I'm looking to get monetized here so I could actually maybe make some shekels off of this, but that's beside the point. The point is providing information. A guy's been asking me like, well, how did you do it? Right? You were a woke blue pill alpha type motherfucker. Like how do you got this girl that's like in your frame? How'd you salvage all this? Well, I didn't salvage it. I was willing to lose her, and that's how I got to keep her. So, it just comes down to pretty much everything. We beat this dead horse over and over again. It all comes down to personal leadership, and I'm leading myself. And if you want to see what I'm doing, follow along.
All right. AJ, what are you up to, man?
I'm about to post my links in the chat. There they are. So as far as like last thoughts on this is, I think I had a conversation with Thor shortly after joining MEN and all that stuff. And a good way to get over like the resentment part is just look back and accept everything in the relationship was your fault, whether it was or wasn't. Just accept it and move on. It'll make you a lot happier in the end. Like once I had that conversation with Thor, a lot of weight lifted off my shoulders. As far as what I'm doing, I'm getting ready to do a review on Dread here shortly, focusing more on my promotion board here next week. I actually have that. You'll see me from time to time on Masculine Geek, and thank you, Thor, for joining us on the fireside chat. Unfortunately, Drew Bay had to cancel the D&D. Other than that, guys, sign up for Thor's monthly coaching with the monthly dragons. There's a link in there that I just posted.
Yes, use
we had a few guys join thanks to me and Elliot. And we'd like to see more guys join us and help you out with whatever you need.
Absolutely.
All right. Mike, what's up with you, man?
I'm just out here enjoying Vegas, building furniture. And something happened over the weekend. I hit triple digits. So I just broke the 100 follower mark.
On the scale?
Yeah, when I weighed my sold.
Wait, weighs more than Thor's hammer?
No, on X. I don't know how this happened. I gained like 20 followers on like Thursday and Friday. I have no clue how that happened.
Allie.
Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I just hit triple digits, so hit me up on X. I'm just out here enjoying Vegas and causing trouble, raw dog in the internet. But I am not a bear. So
all right.
Sorry, ladies.
RP Thor, the guy that makes this all possible. What's up with you, man?
Thank you, Paul. What a wonderful episode and great show prep on a very important topic. A lot of men will face this in their long-term relationships at one time or another. Nobody's immune from this. And, Tarl said it amazing. He was talking about how he did it. Well, of course he did it by joining the Dragonship. But aside from that, he had to be willing to lose a relationship in order to say it. That is a huge principle that will put you in the right direction. And the ladies will very much appreciate that. And it can be done with class and elegance. It's not all harsh women hating. It's facing the reality of how relationships are, how men and women are, and accepting it, and then taking the action to assume leadership. And of course, what AJ said about one of the best ways over this, if you do go through this and it goes south, is to accept the accountability that it was all you that caused this to happen. In many ways it is. And so you accept it and accept it in silence. That's what great men do. The others, the weaklings, the wannabes, the grifters, are all going to go on this social media, claim the moral high ground that everybody else should be held accountable, because of your circumstances, and express and vent all that anger. Don't be that guy. Be the guy like Taro that accepts it and moves forward. And I mean, AJ, sorry. And join the Dragons membership. We meet monthly and use AJ's or one of the other guys' links, because every member of the Dragons is also an affiliate link. So we have this meeting once a month, and it's really cool, and they have an opportunity, and they all seem to really like it. So join the Dragons monthly membership meeting, which I think you'll really appreciate. And guys, hold on to your shafts tight for the next week until the Dragonship returns.
Don't death grip your shafts, guys.
Well, now sometimes you got to choke it up.
That'll give you bedroom performance issues if you death grip
Wow.
it.
This is
Get the Kleenex.
It's devolving quickly. All right, guys. My closing thoughts on this is there's all these tools out here, right? But just like the title of the show, when you first start out, you're working on your map. You're trying to, correct the trajectory of your relationship. Don't get into dumbass arguments that are pointless at the end of the day. Shut the fuck up, lift, work on yourself until you have some of these tools that we teach in this space so that you can correctly navigate those types of situations. Until you have those tools, shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up and lift.
Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck. Anyway, tune into the podcast Monday. My beer club brother David's joining me. He's been a member of my beer club since January. We had a free lecture from my good friend Eric Eberhard, the legendary porn star. And so he joined then to go to the lecture, and then he stayed in the group because he realized just how much value he was getting in the group. Since then, he's lost 30 pounds. He's diabetic. His A1C is at a healthy level now. All this kind of stuff because we're in there every single day, swapping notes and holding each other accountable and leveling up. If you guys are working on your map and you're trying to correct a broken relationship, get in the beer club. It's a good place to swap notes and get advice from guys. If you guys have struggles that you're dealing with, hold on, I'm going to mute Mike because he's typing away over there. If you guys are dealing with these types of struggles, you got to have a place where you can express your emotions in a healthy way. Beer club, Dragonship, they're all good places for that, or the Dragons membership rather. It's good places for that. I'll drop a link to that. Other than that, we'll close out with a commercial for my book, Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. And other than that, we'll see you guys next week. Life is a journey filled with twists and turns. Why is it that essential life lessons aren't taught in school? You probably know that the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, but do you know how to invest in a Roth IRA? We're not taught to build ourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. The roadmap to success is more than just a college degree. You don't have to follow the traditional route. Success isn't confined to a classroom. It's about discovering your own path. You ever wish that someone handed you a guidebook to life when you were 18? Well, it's never too late to rewrite your story. Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18. Advice for young men to create a great life for themselves. This book is your compass, guiding you to pick the right career, how to invest wisely, and how to prepare for a fulfilling future. To take control of your health and your fitness. Learn how to date efficiently and find genuine desire. And master the art of leading healthy relationships. Your path is defined by the choices you make, not by others' expectations. Don't wait until you're 35 to unlock your potential. Order your copy now on Amazon. Rewrite your story. Build the life you deserve.